So what is up, guys? You got your boy Stingren here today, and today we're gonna be revisiting some old units here today, and today we're gonna be revisiting 37. Now 37 is quite frankly known as Bluepoch's favorite child. We'll talk about what that means for those of you who are a little bit newer to the game, but those of you who've been knowing the game for a while and been following up with the CN, you'll kind of know why that's the case. But of course, we're going to be revisiting 37, talking about how good she is she's still worth to actually pull. Of course, you cannot currently pull 37. You can pull her at the start of 1.7, which is only on a off banner chance or unless she gets a banner rerun anytime within the future. I think she should be getting one because I think she's getting a garment. I can't remember off the top of my head, so I do apologize for that. But anyway, let's go and talk about what she does, and let's talk about why she's considered one of the essential best teammates to have in the game. Let's talk about it. So 37 is a star sub DPS carry who specializes in Genesis damage. If you get her to higher portrays like P2, then she can kind of perform up to main carry territory because she gets better modifiers off of her special effects and damage. But the main thing is that she focuses on Genesis damage. And the reason why this is actually very good is because it's a form of unmitigated damage. While she does have mental attacks in her kit, the main thing that she focuses on the most is Genesis damage, because that is where she buffs up a lot of her damage from. She doesn't get anything like boost own mental damage. She boosts up her own Genesis damage with the cast of her own ultimate, for example, and of course with other cards that can further help getting you an extra boost as well when you need to apply. So that's really cool. But as I said before, Genesis being its own form of unmitigated damage actually makes her really good against a lot of heavy defense bosses, because heavy defense bosses in this game traditionally falls into either reality or mental. There's no such thing as a Genesis defense as of my current knowledge of the game, which actually makes her very valuable because she can continuously cleave at these enemies. While she may not do a lot on mental, but she's still going to be doing a lot in Genesis, which is going to be able to help accelerate and pushing those bosses down, getting them close to death, and of course the meaning that's required turn requirement and content and stuff like that. And of course she has a long list of units that can really help accelerate her performance because she continuously gets a lot of support. And we'll talk about why she is quite frankly Bluepoch's favorite child for that very reason. Anyway, so long story short, if you guys don't know what she does, I'm going to give you guys like a TLDR of what she does, and I'm going to give you guys like a should you pull and all that stuff. Now granted, she is not in the banners right now, so the should you pull should be maybe like a bit of advice maybe when she does have a rate up banner. So if she does have a rate up banner, then maybe you can always reference this video for your own personal decision. But again, if it's your account, your choice. So just because I say you should pull, does not mean you should always pull. I should always make that clear. Anyway, let's talk about it. So as I said before, TLDR, she is a Genesis damaging unit. She has the unique effect of Eureka. Eureka is a unique effect that is triggered amongst most units. Eureka is triggered in her own case by an ally performing a follow-up action. So this means like Junianza's S1, Lilia's S1 are prime examples of follow-up attacks that can be casted with her to allow her to get stacks of Eureka. Now Junianza is arguably her best candidate for this because you can get a lot of extra turns with Junianza, because you can quite frankly get up to 4, I believe, if you do skill 1 and then channel and then get the double cast off channel, which is actually a thing that you can actually do with Junianza. Or even if you just go attack and channel, that's still potentially 3 stacks of Eureka, because you're getting the 1 guarantee so long as you have liquor into her kit to get the 1 cast there. And then when you channel, that's going to be a follow-up attack that happens 2 different times. It's going to be 1 off the channeling effect and then the standard follow-up attack that happens normally. So getting a potential 3 stacks of Eureka every single time you use her is actually really strong. That's why she is quite frankly one of her best partners for this very reason. So yeah, alongside Junianza being a obviously very good unit as well. So yeah, she gets to sit next to one of the best DPSs in the game. That's already Bluepoch's favorite child moment right there. But anyway, but whenever she gets 5 or more stacks of Eureka, she casts Supplementary Formula. This is her high damaging move, which it gets 120% mental damage plus attack plus 40% Genesis damage to all enemies, which is really good. And one thing you have to know about Supplementary Formula is it does not allow her Eureka to overcap, and it casts as soon as she hits 5. So as soon as she hits the 5, boom, she casts it. It could be in the middle of an action, it could be in the middle of attack sequence amongst other characters, which is actually pretty good because it means she can help chip down more effectively, more quickly. It's not something that casts at the end of the round or at the beginning of the round, so she has the 5 stacks. So as soon as she hits that 5 stack mark, boom, casts it and just does the damage and gets about her way. Anyway, Insight 2 gives her critical damage up, which is good, and critical rate was 20%, which actually she needs this because that actually allows for her Genesis to crit pretty consistently, because she has one of the unique effects of critting Genesis. Critting Genesis is something that's not really too rare. I think only her and Urza, I believe, can actually critical hit their Genesis cast. Of course, Urza being most likely a support, more so than 37. 37 does have her own ways to support with the ultimate, because she can give you 2 stacks of attack up plus 10%, and more so an additional benefit for her is 100% Genesis damage. If you do combine her with Urza, then yeah, he would also get the 100% Genesis, but this does not apply to effects that would normally cause Genesis damage, like burn or poison, because that is Genesis damage to the caster. I think it's a fixed 30% plus like attack stat or something. I believe that's how the burn and poison modifier works. But it's only going to be the 100% boost off of their own attacks that can have Genesis damage built into them. So that is the one thing about that. So, yeah, that's generally her in a general small nutshell. Should you pull? Yes, 100%. I mean, it's really hard, and I'm going to break down the timeline of why she's considered Bluepoch's favorite child. I'm gonna name off basically everything, even from CN. Not too far into CN, like maybe like patch 1.8 is where I feel comfortable, because I don't want to spoil too much for people who watch these videos. I know I had a lot of people that watch global, but let's talk about it. So yeah, the big reason why I would say pull is because she just keeps progressively getting better. I mean, it's really hard for me not to say you should pull for a unit that continuously gets support. Let me break down the timeline of events now. If you guys don't know, she released in patch 1.4, and that's that, right? So at the very start of her patch, she got this card, which is Silent and Adoring, which is one of her preferred cards that actually makes her work out pretty good. But remember, as I said before, every patch she gets something. So of course she got access to Silent and Adoring, which was actually a free card that you can actually buy within the shop, which was actually pretty good for her. She also got access to 6, but that literally applies to everyone. So that's not really so much as a bonus specifically to her. But again, it's an extra helper with wanting to deal extra damage and stuff like that. And then we talk about patch 1.5. She got something else there. She got access to Long Night Talk. If you guys don't know, she can actually use Long Night Talk very well, because her ultimate does count as a buff. And of course, it's very easy to give her the 2 stacks of positive statuses. You can get that from so many free supports in the game. That's not really necessarily a problem. So she got access to Long Night Talk, which actually helps out her damage really well, because it gives her a 2.5. This is at A5 by the way, but 2.5 attack stack and stack up to 5 times. As I mentioned before, 37's attack is actually very important, because remember, Genesis damage is a pure form of unmitigated damage that doesn't necessarily fall into mental or reality. So having the higher attack stat means her Genesis damage actually pops off a little bit more. So that's why using Long Night Talk on her is actually pretty valuable. And that's the thing. It also even gives her additional damage delta plus 8%, which is always really good for someone that is a DPS. So there's that. So patch 1.5, she got access to Long Night Talk, which is the preferred card of Spachothea, which was featured in her event shop. 1.6, what did she get in 1.6? She got access to Junionza. As I just mentioned before, this is her best partner because of the amount of extra actions that Junionza can generate. Junionza can generate a obscene amount of extra actions, making it for very quick cast of her supplementary formula. So there's that. Patch 1.7, she's gonna get a buff there too. She got access to Isolde. Now you're probably wondering, but wait, Jet, hold on, cool your jets there, buddy boy. I thought Isolde was for reality. I thought that was what the trend was. If you have watched my video talking about Isode's best teams, which I do recommend you watch that, I have stated time and time again that Isode is not specifically for reality. While she does offer the best benefits for reality, she still offers big bonuses to everyone else, and that in the fact that she can debuff critical resist down for a max of 50% and can also give a potential 75% damage bonus with the cast of her power burst and her ultimate. I mean, if that's not for specifically someone. And remember, Isolde has a cast of Intermezzo, which guess what? Is considered a follow-up action, which, I mean, look who happens to get Eureka based off of follow-up actions. It doesn't have to be single target or AoE, so long as it's the follow-up. Very, very very thonk, you know, like, but yeah, long story short, that's another character right there that she get access to that, well, makes 37 worth using. It makes 37 more better. And there's that patch 1.8, she got access to the queen of all mental supports, Vila. Well, I mean, check that one off the list, because Vila actually is a character that does a lot for mental teams everywhere. She also can give crit and critical damage, which is actually big bonus for someone like her. That is fantastic when it comes to her overall. But just long story short, 37 is just a unit who continuously gets better and better. She will get more support in patch 1.9. There's another character that's in patch 1.9 that becomes her kind of her newish best partner for in terms of follow-up action. And of course, patch 2.0, they released a recently new character there who can counter, which counts as an extra action, which of course is more benefit for 37. Long story short, 37 continues to win time and time again. That is why she is quite frankly known as Bluepoch's favorite child, is because she keeps on getting some form of a buff, some form of a new tool, some form of a new utility that works to warrant having her use. Now, when we talk about characters and being buffed, it's usually in spots. You know what I mean? Like, for example, let's take a DPS like Jessica, right? Jessica really hasn't received a lot until Isolde came, right? That's like 5 whole patches of Jessica just doing what she could do to stay relevant. And of course, she's still very strong, she's still very good. But the fact that, you know, you had to wait the 5 patches for Isolde before she got something that really worked out for her. Well, technically 6 is also a pretty good buff as well, so that's also a pretty good thing there. But I mean, for the most part, the biggest thing there is the Isolde buff. That's going to allow her to have 100% uptime on Blasphemous of Night, which is going to keep her damage consistent. But that's just what it is, man. That is just what it is. I just think that she's just a very good worth pool. Even at just P0, a lot of people talk about that her damage, the damage that she could perform may not be the greatest at P0. It's more so sub DPS tier. But for the most part, she's actually really good when it comes to just being a good damage DPS, even at just P0. A lot of people say it's a little low. I think it's fine. I've had the personal success of using her in numerous raids. I've had the personal success of using her in a lot of content, but that's generally it. Like, if you do run across her at the start of 1.7, because that is when she starts to appear off banner, of course, not including the fact that she will get a proper banner of her own. Yes, you should pull her. You should pull her immediately. You should pull her as soon as she gets a radar banner, because she's very valuable. She's very valuable because of just how much she can get. And yeah, so anyway, we're gonna run over some teams with her, do a little showcase, and I'll see you guys in just a moment. Peace. Alright, so this is going to be the first main team that you really bring with her, is ideally this team right here. You're going to have June Nyanza for the follow-up action, big damage. You're going to have her who can trigger her supplementary formula, while also providing an attack up bonus to the team. Of course, the Genesis doesn't really help this team at all, so that is definitely going to be something that definitely works out with you. And then Two Fairy is going to be, of course, be the healer who can also debuff critical resistance and critical defense, which of course is going to be great because these two do operate on having crit. And 6 is going to be your main buffer of choice, who can actually buff 37. Now, the big reason why you prefer to buff 37 with a team like this is because June Nyanza can buff herself, so you don't necessarily have to buff with 6 here. If you want to accelerate that, you can. Of course, you can also cast some debuffs as well just to help shredding the boss a little bit easier. And of course, if you're wondering what build I'm running on mine, it's actually going to be a full-on crit build. I think crit build is the best for her because of her preferred partners. I think it's actually very, very important that you would run something like crit for her. Another team that you can actually do is something like this. This is more so focused on making 37 the solo carry of the team. Again, with her being P0, she's not the most strongest solo carry in the game. She needs like P2 and above to be a strong solo carry. Now, you can actually use Yensei as a budget-friendly option. That's why I included her here. Urza is also here because he also can crit Genesis, and of course he also operates a little bit off Genesis as well. Again, he's not really here for the damage, but he has to have a lot of good support utility for her. The ability to do the vulnerability debuff, which gives 25% damage taken reduction, which of course is pretty good. And then he can also give 40% critical damage up on targets, and he can also refill Eureka, which is actually pretty good. Now, this one really doesn't help that there's no follow-up unit in the team. That's where it kind of feels like it's a little bit of a problem, because I feel like someone with the follow-up is very, very more important, because again, it gives you more times to cast supplementary formula. But if you really wanted to make her own carry, that means you're going to be feeding her most of the actions anyway. This is actually the wrong team, but you're going to be feeding her most of the actions anyway, so that's why I do really recommend it. But again, Yensei can work as a budget-friendly option. She's still a very good healer. As for everyone else, I think everyone here is pretty much mandatory. I mean, of course, 6, we'd have 6 use someone like Sonato, someone who's like more of a budget-friendly buffer. There's that. When it comes to Urza, there's no really unit in the game that can buff Moxie and Eureka at the same time. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started, and let's actually take a look at this showcase here. So we are using this as we're using the chapter 5 final boss here as an example. Anyway, we're gonna debuff first. We're gonna cast, and then we're just going to get a little bit of AoE with her. We don't need to do anything with 2 fairies just yet. And remember, the first attacking ally ends up getting dazed. So there we go. We get that. Boom. All right. So and nice, that protects us. So we can actually have 2 fairy debuff 1, and we will just, as you can see, look at that, 3 stacks already. We can do this. Actually, no. This, and then boom. So we should be able to do our first supplementary formula just on the second turn, which again, very good. I think it's important that we kind of just allow them to look at their supplementary formula cast. Nice. And we just skip one of the phases just like that because of the supplementary formula boost. Of course, now it's going to become the actual boss now. Alright, let us buff 37. Let's debuff the boss. Let's do this. And there we go.
Until the torch is lit.
I think it's the first time we hit, I believe. Okay, no, it's first action. No debuff, which is a little annoying, but that's totally fine. Okay, we got silenced, which is a little annoying. Of course, we can't just cleanse it off with 37. I mean, with 6. So we can channel for sure. Actually, no. Debuff this. We'll get this ready, and we'll get you ready.
Benefit from reading.
I'm gonna do a lot of damage here, actually. We'll definitely, we will definitely, look at that, just damage is going. Alright, so we will, is there a way I can slide out of this? Because I kind of want Tooth Fairy to do something here. Yeah, that works. Okay, perfect. Because I wanted to get the max cost of the thing here. I didn't really care too much about the buff. So there's that. Actually, no. We'll debuff. We'll buff with 37, and then we'll cast our ultimates and see if this is enough to kill the boss. Might be enough. Might be. Welcome to the world of numbers. Okay, there we go.
The scale of your soul has tilted. The balance
If I had a channel cast, then I could have gotten another supplementary formula, which actually would have been pretty nice. Alright, nice. I do think we kill here. I think Junionza kills. She doesn't crit, maybe. But pretty sure she can kill her. See, just like that, just ran completely over. So, yeah, that's kind of just what she does, man. I mean, you even got it in one turn earlier. Nice. Nice. We'll go and rewrite that. But anyway, yeah, but that's going to be generally the TLDR of how you really should use her. It's always worth to use her as a sub DPS if she's at low portrait. But if she's high portrait, then she definitely has her own ability to be on her own 2 feet. So, yeah. Anyway, this has been your boy Stingren. See you guys next time. Peace.